In a rural village in Nigeria, there lived a girl named Blessing. She was born into a poor family, and life had never been easy for her. When Blessing was just 5 years old, tragedy struck. Her father, who had been the main provider for the family, passed away suddenly. This left Blessing, her mother Grace, and her elder siblings in a very difficult situation. Grace, now a single mother, had to work extra hard to take care of her children. She was a petty trader, selling small items in the local market. The money she made was barely enough to put food on the table and keep a roof over their heads. Despite the hardships, Grace was determined to give her children the best life she could. As Blessing grew older, she started to understand the difficulties her family faced. She saw how her mother would skip meals so that the children could eat. She noticed how her elder siblings had to drop out of school to help with the family's income. But Grace was adamant that Blessing should continue her education. Education is the key to a better life, Grace would often tell Blessing. No matter how hard it gets, you must finish your schooling. Answer: Blessing worked hard in school. She would wake up early to help her mother set up her market stall, then rush to school. After classes, she would return to the market to help pack up before heading home to do her homework by candlelight. It wasn't easy, but Blessing was determined to make her mother proud. The years passed, and Blessing managed to complete her primary education. Moving on to secondary school was even more challenging. The fees were higher, and she needed more books and supplies. There were days when Blessing thought about giving up, but her mother's encouragement kept her going. "You're so close, my child," Grace would say. "Just a few more years, and you'll have your secondary school certificate. That will open doors for you." Blessing pushed through the hardships. She borrowed books from friends when she couldn't afford them. She studied extra hard to maintain her grades, knowing that she couldn't afford to repeat a class. Her teachers, seeing her dedication, often helped her with extra lessons. Finally, after years of struggle, Blessing completed her secondary school education. She was 16 years old, and full of hope for the future. The day she received her certificate was one of the happiest days of her life. She ran home, waving the document in the air, tears of joy streaming down her face. "Mama, Mama, I did it," she shouted as she entered their small home. Grace hugged her daughter tightly, her own eyes filling with tears. "I'm so proud of you, my Blessing. You've done what many thought was impossible." But as the excitement of graduation faded, a new reality set in. Blessing wanted to continue her education, to go to a tertiary institution and study nursing. It had been her dream since she was a little girl, inspired by the kind nurse who had cared for her father in his final days. However, the family's financial situation hadn't improved much over the years. One evening, Grace sat Blessing down for a serious talk. "My daughter," she began, her voice heavy with emotion, "you know how much I want you to continue your education. But the truth is, we don't have the money for university right now." Blessing felt her heart sink. She had known this might be coming, but hearing it said out loud made it feel final. Grace continued, "I think it's time for you to look for work. Maybe as a sales girl. You can contribute to the family and save some money for your own needs. And who knows, maybe in a few years, we can save enough for you to continue your studies." Blessing nodded, trying to hide her disappointment. She knew her mother was right. They needed the money, and getting a job was the responsible thing to do. Still, it felt like her dreams were slipping away. What Blessing didn't realize was that her youthful appearance would soon bring its own set of challenges. At 16, she had the sweet and sexy body that made people mistake her for a much older girl, maybe 22 or 23. This would attract attention, both wanted and unwanted, as she stepped into the world of work. As Blessing prepared to start her job search, she had no idea of the adventures and challenges that lay ahead. Her journey was just beginning, and it would test her in ways she never expected. With her mother's advice in mind, Blessing set out to find work as a sales girl. She was nervous but determined. After a few days of searching, she found a job at a phone store in the busiest part of town. The owner, a young man named David who was about 30 years old, hired her on the spot. You seem bright and honest, David told her. That's what I need in my shop. Blessing was thrilled. The job paid 20,000 naira a month, which wasn't much, but it was more money than she had ever earned before. She threw herself into the work, learning quickly about the different phone models and how to deal with customers. From the start, Blessing noticed that many male customers paid her extra attention. Some would linger in the shop, trying to chat with her or asking for her phone number. At first, she didn't understand why, but soon she realized it was because of her looks. Her body had developed early, making her appear older than her 16 years. One day, a customer got too friendly, trying to touch Blessing's hand as she showed him a phone. David saw this and immediately stepped in. "Sir, please respect my employee," David said firmly. "She's here to work, not to be harassed." After the customer left, David talked to Blessing. "You're young and beautiful, and that can be dangerous. Be careful, okay? Don't let anyone take advantage of you." Blessing was grateful for David's protection. Unlike some bosses who might have tried to take advantage of her themselves, David treated her like a younger sister. He even warned off his own friend who suggested he should catch Blessing young. "She's a child, man," David had told his friend. "I'm here to give her a job, not ruin her life." Despite the challenges at work, Blessing found joy in her faith. She was a devoted Catholic and active in her local church. Whenever she could, she would take time off from the shop to help clean the church on Saturdays or participate in youth activities. It was during one of these church activities that Blessing caught the attention of Father Joseph, a reverend in his late 50s. At first, Father Joseph seemed kind and fatherly. He would often chat with Blessing after services, asking about her life and her dreams. "So you want to be a nurse?" he asked one day, after Blessing shared her ambitions. "Yes, Father," Blessing replied enthusiastically, "but I need to save money first." Father Joseph nodded thoughtfully. "Perhaps I can help with that. The church always needs help, and we pay well." Over the next few weeks, Father Joseph's attention to Blessing increased. He bought her an expensive Android phone, saying it was to help her stay in touch with church activities. He started suggesting that she quit her job at the phone store and come work for the church instead. "I can pay you 3 times what you're making now," he told her. "And I can help you get into nursing school too." Blessing was tempted by the offer. The money would be a huge help to her family, and the promise of nursing school was like a dream come true. But something about the situation made her uneasy. She told David about the offer, seeking his advice. David frowned as he listened. "Be careful, Blessing," he warned. "Sometimes when things seem too good to be true, they are. This priest, are you sure his intentions are pure?" Blessing was shocked at the suggestion. "Father Joseph is a man of God," she protested. "He wouldn't, he couldn't." But David's words planted a seed of doubt in her mind. She decided to talk to her mother about it. Grace, however, was excited by the prospect. "This is a blessing from God," she told her daughter. "Father Joseph is a good man. He can give you opportunities we could never afford." Torn between her mother's enthusiasm and her own doubts, Blessing decided to accept Father Joseph's offer. She gave notice at the phone store, saying goodbye to David with mixed emotions. "Remember," David told her on her last day, "you can always come back here if you need to. Be safe, Blessing." As Blessing prepared to start her new job at the church, she had no idea of the dark turn her life was about to take. The man she saw as a father figure had very different plans for her, plans that would test her faith, her strength, and her very soul. Blessing started her new job at the church with high hopes. Father Joseph had her working as his personal assistant, which mainly involved cleaning his living quarters and preparing his meals. The work wasn't difficult, and true to his word, he paid her 3 times what she had been making at the phone store. For the first few weeks, everything seemed fine. Father Joseph was kind and fatherly, often praising Blessing for her hard work and dedication. He would talk to her about her dreams of becoming a nurse, promising to help her achieve that goal. "You're like a daughter to me, Blessing," he would say. "I want to see you succeed." Blessing felt grateful and secure. She thought she had found a true mentor and father figure. But slowly, things began to change. It started innocently enough. One day, Father Joseph complained of back pain and asked Blessing to massage his shoulders. Blessing, seeing no harm in it, agreed. But as the days went by, these requests became more frequent and more intimate. Blessing, you have healing hands, Father Joseph would say. God has truly blessed you with this gift. Blessing felt uncomfortable but didn't know how to refuse. She had been raised to respect and obey her elders, especially those in the church. Plus, she was afraid of losing her job and the promise of education. Then came the day when Father Joseph crossed a line. After Blessing had massaged his back, he turned to her with a strange look in his eyes. Now it's my turn to make you feel good, he said, reaching for her. Blessing froze in shock and fear as Father Joseph began touching her inappropriately. She wanted to run, to scream, but her body wouldn't move. In her mind, she kept thinking, this can't be happening. He's a priest. He's supposed to be a man of God. But it was happening. Over the next few weeks, Father Joseph's advances became more aggressive. He would force Blessing to let him touch her, to do things she had never even imagined. She cried silently each time, feeling trapped and ashamed. One terrible day, Father Joseph went further than he ever had before. Despite Blessing's tears and weak protests, he took her virginity. Blessing felt something inside her break that day, and not just physically. Her trust in the church, in authority figures, in the very idea of goodness, it all shattered. Afterwards, Father Joseph acted as if nothing had happened. He continued to treat Blessing kindly in public, buying her gifts and talking about her bright future. But behind closed doors, the abuse continued. Blessing didn't know what to do. She was afraid to tell anyone, fearing they wouldn't believe her. Who would take the word of a poor girl over that of a respected priest? Plus, Father Joseph had reminded her of all he was doing for her and her family. This is our secret, he would say. If you tell anyone, you'll lose everything. Your job, your chance at education, everything. Months passed, and Blessing fell into a deep depression. She lost weight, had trouble sleeping, and withdrew from her friends and family. Her mother noticed the change but attributed it to the stress of working and studying. Then one day, during a visit home, Blessing's mother noticed something different about her daughter. Grace's eyes narrowed as she looked at Blessing closely. Blessing, she said slowly, are you pregnant? The question hit Blessing like a slap. She hadn't even considered the possibility, but as soon as her mother said it, she knew it was true. All the changes in her body, the nausea she'd been feeling, it all made sense now. Blessing broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. Through her tears, the whole terrible story came pouring out. Father Joseph's kindness turning to abuse, her fear and shame, and now this unexpected pregnancy. Grace was stunned and then furious. How dare he, she shouted. How dare he do this to my child? Despite Blessing's pleas to keep it quiet, Grace was determined to seek justice. She reported the abuse to the church authorities, insisting on an investigation. At first, Father Joseph denied everything, but as evidence mounted and more questions were asked, the truth began to emerge. A medical examination confirmed Blessing's pregnancy and the signs of long-term abuse. The church, facing a major scandal, was forced to take action. Father Joseph was removed from his position and handed over to the police for criminal charges. As news of the scandal spread, Blessing faced a mix of sympathy and judgment from her community. Some blamed her, saying she must have seduced the priest. Others saw her for what she was, a victim of a terrible abuse of power. For Blessing, the future seemed more uncertain than ever. Pregnant at 17, her dreams of becoming a nurse seemed further away than ever. But little did she know, her story was about to take another unexpected turn. The news of Father Joseph's arrest and the circumstances surrounding it spread quickly, not just through the local community, but across the entire country. The story of a respected priest abusing a young, vulnerable girl shocked the nation and sparked outrage. As the case gained attention, it caught the eye of a prominent women's rights organization. They reached out to Blessing and her mother, offering legal support and counseling. For the first time since the abuse began, Blessing felt like she wasn't alone. The legal process was long and difficult. Blessing had